Hey, Greg, Joe Chats, WLS. Thank you so much for the time. Looking at this weekend, it's Nashville. It's never an easy team to go against. So I'm curious, what do you think their addition of Christian Espinoza has done to elevate this team as they continue to be one of the better sides, not only in the East, but in MLS, in continental competition, and league-wise?
Yeah, I think Nashville has shown this year to be a top team in our conference. With Espinosa, they have quality, and may not be the same dynamic they had running behind, but it's a player that can make the difference in the penalty box. And you see that's where they've improved and they've gotten much better. So I think it was a great pickup. You add it to the workers they have in midfield, the stability they have in the back line, and it makes them a difficult opponent.
So Nashville's been a tough opponent for the Fire. I mean, one win in 9 games between the two sides for the Fire. We talked about the results last year, which I think were not exactly what anyone in Chicago would have hoped. But, does that provide extra motivation for this year and trying to change that story of what has been, a lot of futility against, what has been one of the better sides in MLS over the past few years?
Yeah, I think there's obviously a record that we have against certain opponents that you want to change, right? When was the last time we won in Philly? 2013. Yeah, so a 13-year drought of a win, and we got the win. So when you hear stuff like that, I think it heightens the focus. But all in all, it's like we talked about in the beginning of the year, we want to compete to win every single game. And that's the most important thing. So you can talk about records, we don't need to focus on that because our focus is on trying to win the game on Saturday. And, the guys have been training hard. It's been a good week of training. We got guys back from international duty. So now it's time to go.
We'll take a couple questions from Zoom. We'll start with Martin O'Donnell from Bolavip.
He gets in good positions, and when he gets in those positions, he finishes. And they give him the ball in great spots. They like to make the pass to find an opponent who's I think more open than other opponents that get clear shots. So they've been doing a good job. He leads the line, and he's playing with confidence. So for us, we need to be aware of where he is in the penalty box, and we need to close the spaces.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Alex Campbell.
Well, he's not back yet, so that's the first issue that we have. There was a flight complication, and he's still en route. So that's the first thing, and then from there, we have 24 hours basically to turn him around and see if he's available to play. I don't think with these conditions, I don't think it's guaranteed that he's going to be playing. We're going to have to see. The most important thing is that he's fit and he's prepared to play, and we're going to have to check on that when he returns.
Martin, I see your hand is still up. Do you have another question? Okay, we'll go back to the room. Thank you.
And Greg, it's been a year since Dje D'Avilla's signing was announced. That was April 1st, 2025. Not a joke somehow. Very curious what you've seen from him, not only once he got comfortable towards the end of last year, but alongside some of the challenges you've put towards him in 2026, where it's adjusting next to Anton and Mauri and then, Andre later in the year.
I liked his progression. I think that, he's the guy that follows the path that most players do, this non-linear progression, right? It's a lot of ups and downs and difficult times. And for him, he had to hang in there. He had to fight. And, he still has to fight. And the message to him this year is like, you have people breathing down your neck, and you need to perform, and we're going to help you, put you in position to perform. But at the end of the day, it's going to be up to him and how he applies himself in the matches and in training. But I think he's a talented player. He's got a natural skill set that is very well suited for Major League Soccer. And then there's things that we're continue to work on and continue to improve. But overall, it's been fun working with him for the last year.
And how useful is it having a player like that made the adaptation to new continent, new league, new culture, all of that, even at a young age, being able to be there and sort of be a leader for some of the new arrivals this year, like including, Pusatitsjane and Mbekele Mboaze?
Yeah, he's got a lot on his plate in that area. And for him, this is a really crucial time because we know he has a high level in him. And now it's about how does he replicate that week in and week out. And that's always been the challenge for D'Avilla because his top level is top. And then what he needs to work on is the average level. What does that look like? And so, there's a lot of challenges that he's facing this year, but we think he's been handling it well. I think he's very professional for a young player, always looking to find the edge and do what's necessary to keep performing at a high level.
Alex, I see you have another question. Your line is open.
I think, excuse me, I think when you're able to be at that level, the first thing is you observe an extreme high level of play. So when he's watching the games against Belgium and Portugal, he sees the opponent and sees how they finish, the finishing quality that they have. So you start to think, okay, this is what the top level is, right? Guys that get one opportunity, two opportunities, and they put it on frame, they put it hard, they put it well placed. I could imagine from being there, the training is very similar for him. He's facing, guys that can hit the ball hard and hit it accurate. And, so that's going to help him. And we know traditionally the third goalie, gets to take a lot of shots after practice. And so, you would think that he would lose some sharpness, but actually he's probably more sharp because he's training against some high level players.
Jim Alexander, I see your line is up. Your hand is up.
Jim. He's definitely grown and matured as a player. When I think about his first caps to where he is now, this is more of a routine for him. It's something he puts tremendous amount of focus into it, and you can see he's more settled on the field. This March window and the window before the roster announcement is always challenging for every player, and all you could do is hope to put out your best. And there's a lot of pressure that comes along with this window, a lot of implications that are hanging in the air. And I think for him, the good thing is he remains calm and he remains focused on his process. See you.
And Greg, now that Jack Elliott's been back in training this week, curious any updates on his availability and what that process has been like, just having him back, because this is something we're not used to covering.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a rare incident that Jack was experiencing. And what we could see when he reintegrated into training was, he took a toll on him. He lost, I think, 8 pounds in total. And he was fatigued the first couple of days of training. And again, he's going to be a game time decision based on, how we think he progresses in the next couple of days. But, it's just good to have him back on the field.
So you mentioned, losing sharpness as being a concern. That's obviously a concern taking a week off, especially, considering the Fire went into the international break with a win. So how do you look at the balance between the time off, getting guys like Jack, potentially back and game ready versus what you lose from not having had a game for a week?
I don't think we lost anything. In fact, I think we trained harder in this last 2 weeks than we have in a while. We really pushed the guys. Our Saturday load was close to 95% of a match load. We exceeded match metrics in some other physical areas. So we really pushed, and the guys have been doing a great job in training. I think the pause and we had 8 guys go away. To get them back. So we've been active, and I think, we're not going to skip a beat.
And Greg, how much did having a lot of the youngsters around help elevate the energy in what could sometimes be a doldrum time?
It was fun. It's always nice, to give younger players opportunities and see how they embrace it and see how they deal with it. We have a one club mentality where we love players from the academy, from the second team, coming to the first team to train and then have lunch with us and then, spend the day, do the weight sessions. It's great to keep that connection. And overall, what we want players to believe is just there's a pathway to the first team. That's the most important thing about our academy and second team, that they believe there's a way. And when you see guys like Dylan Borsa, who comes up and gets opportunities, Christopher Cups, who comes up, even Sam Meyer getting called up to the Philly game. So there is opportunities for guys.
Thanks, C. Thanks, Jay, for the time. Joe Chats, WLS. How you doing today?
Good.
Good. It's been about a year since you've come to Chicago. April 1st was the anniversary of the deal being announced. And I'm curious, looking back on this year, what have you done and what have you reflected on your successes over this first year of your time in Chicago?
Yeah, never. I think it's been maybe 1 year now. I'm here, and personally, I think I grow a lot in my game, improving a lot of things, and we keep pushing because we know we can improve a lot also. Then first, like I said before, we talk and we do the playoff. And now before, we are worried, but I don't think now we are worried about that. When you look at the team, you are not worried about that. Something is clear now.
So in that year, you had to adapt to Tim Hatziman in Red 97. You had to adapt to a new league, a new continent, a lot of new things, in addition to all the challenges, of working to, perform on the pitch and perform with the team. This year, it seems like you've developed a friendship with some of the new arrivals, including Mbekele and Boaze. What have you been sharing with them to help make their path to adapting to MLS and United States and all of that easier?
I think with Mbukazi is more feeling. Even when he was not here, I just watching the game and I was at home, but I know we're gonna have connection. Then when I met him, taking him to go outside, also to show him the city, don't leave him alone, because when I come, I was okay, little bit alone without my family here. I know it's little bit hard. Then stay more closer to him and push, just that.
We'll take a question from Zoom. Martino O'Donnell from Bolaviv.
You can repeat?
Do you see Nashville as a team to beat in the East because they are at the top? They're unbeaten and they knocked out Miami from the Champions Cup.
Yeah, I think it's not easy game, but I think we can do it because we have a revenge also, because last year we played against them 2 times, we lost, and this game is opportunity to show how we grow as team. Then I think we have this game in our hand, and we're just going to I don't say to beat them, but we are going to do great job there.
Next, we'll go to Alex Campbell.
I think this is different because like last year I just come in and I don't have the pre-season with the team, then it's more difficult. When you already play like maybe 30 game in Europe and come like 1 month without training, after come and start to play in MLS is tough. And now it's different. I already start the pre-season with the boys and I know everybody, then more easier to build this season than last year, you know. With Anton, I think also we are good. It's like same like Andres, and we're trying to understand each other just now. I think it will be fine.
And Jay, I wanted to ask a little bit more about working with Anton because he has so many qualities that allow you to maybe drop in more defensively when he allows you or when he's playing those longer balls and maybe gives you more space to run. What do you think he's done to challenge you as a player this year to be better as he is trying to also elevate this team?
I think like he work hard because before I was thinking I run a lot, but he run a lot, you know. Then I need to follow him. That's difficult. It's really difficult. He's hard work player, working hard, man. Just that, I think.
Another change that we've seen this year, the team has played more out of a 4-2-3-1 in addition to the 4-3-3 that they played last year. You know, can you describe how that changes the job that you're being asked to do in the midfield and, you know, your comfort level playing now, you know, in that partnership with Anton or whoever is out there with you in a 4-2-3-1?
I think like last year we have different kind of player, like maybe Gucci and Andre Franco, more creative player. Then this year we have Las. Then for me it's always the same thing in my position, trying to be like more aggressive like I can be in the ball, without the ball also, protect my position, just that. But it's still the same thing.
And then, Jay, I have to ask you, did you see Mboazi's goal during the international window, and what was your reaction? Because I think the world was a bit shocked by it.
Yeah, I think Sumbukazi is special guy, you know, special. When I saw the goal, I was like, crazy, what a goal. I hope he can bring this energy here, start to do his thing also in Chicago to have the team, then he will be fine.
So this was the last, you know, major window before teams are really getting ready for the World Cup. You know, Cote d'Ivoire had two pretty good wins against Scotland and South Korea in the window. Are you starting to feel excited about there being a World Cup happening here in the United States with Cote d'Ivoire, one of the participants in that tournament?
Yeah, I follow the two games, and right now I think we have great team and great player also. Always supporting my national team, and I hope like one day I can be there with them. And just need to do the hard work and good job. For sure, they have space to be in midfield also.